What's going on, beautiful and exotic women of the world? Welcome to another video. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe as we share topics surrounding the exotical community. Please also hit the like button so that this video can be pushed out to other beautiful exoticals like yourself. Today, I want to discuss a phenomenon within the envy and jealousy Olympics that exoticals are unknowingly and involuntarily thrown into. And that is the idea that when they can't destroy you, they will destroy your reputation, or they'll at least try. Now, the reason why people do this is because when you have a strong will, when you stand on morals and standards and boundaries, when you know yourself, love yourself, and won't tolerate disrespect, or if you are simply a threat to somebody, they will hate you for those things. Narcissists, psychopaths, sociopaths, people who are mentally ill, or people who just like drama and chaos and confusion thrive off of you not knowing who you are. And that's why it's so important for exoticals to wake up to who they are and realize that you are different and that's okay. A lot of our struggles have a common theme, which is people hating us for being us. But it makes it even worse when you have confidence, when you have a high self-esteem, and when you are a threat to other people. And when you're intimidating and a threat, it really does speak to that person's insecurities more than it does you. But if they can't get you to hate yourself, if they can't get you to second guess your movements, the things that you like, the things that you do, if they can't plant seeds of doubt in your mind about who you are and get you to self-deprecate and get you to kind of come off of the path that the Most High has cultivated for you, they will become enraged. They will become angry that they can't get under your skin, distract you with their competitiveness and their comparativeness, and they will ultimately try to destroy you. And if they can't destroy you, meaning if they can't get you to bend your knee to their will, they will try to destroy your reputation. And I am no stranger to this. I have dealt with this my whole life because I have always been a person who loves herself and holds herself in a high regard. People have always made me a target for their bullying tactics and abuse. So when they can't have their way with you, people will absolutely become infuriated and they will want to ruin your reputation. It really just boils down to how people perceive you. When I was young and I was dealing with bullies and girls who hated me and didn't want me to have friends, and they would spread lies about me and say that I was doing things that I wasn't doing just so that people wouldn't like me or view me in a good light, I would let them. At first, it was really frustrating and upsetting, and I remember in college, I would have days where I would cry because it was just so unfair that this injustice was going on, because I didn't want to be friends with this group of girls, because I had been lied to about the reason why they wanted to be friends with me, and I removed myself, and it was like me removing myself from this group of girls who were fake. They were phony toward one another. When one person would get up from the table, the rest of them would talk about each other. I didn't last 2 months in that group. So when I decided to remove myself, I became public enemy number one. And even though they all hated each other and they all gossiped about each other and talked badly about each other, they had a common enemy, which was me. So because they couldn't stop me from being me and they couldn't break me down to become a part of their group and become one of their minions, they decided, let's go around the campus and spread rumors about who she's sleeping with, lie about her, tell people lies, spread gossip. And it was so bad to the point where there would be people who I don't even know, people who were underclassmen, who weren't even in my year, who would grill me and look at me and give me nasty looks when we would be in the caf or when we would walk through the campus. I would see people looking at me and giving me dirty, disgusting looks. And of course, these were people who were in the Black community who had an ear to what was going on. And because they liked the gossip and they listened to the gossip, and most likely they were probably hating on me anyway to begin with, hearing the lies, the rumors, the gossip, and the hate and the slander gave them even more of a reason to not like me and to not mess with me. And so it was really troubling because I'm like, people who I never even spoke to a day in my life had really strong feelings toward me based on how they would interact with me when I would be in their space, non-verbally, just looks. It was all very ugly and nasty. And looking back, I'm so strong. I don't know how I made it through the 4 years there, but that's what people will do. They will tarnish your name, they will drag your name through the mud, and they will try to ruin your reputation. So you have to really build a thick skin. I remember during this time, I had my spiritual awakening and I grew a lot spiritually. So I learned how to pray, and I learned how to meditate more, and I learned how to call on God in my hard times. I learned how to transmute energy. I have a video on transmutation and alchemy and how you can take negativity and turn it into something positive for yourself, and really just turn ugly situations into good situations for me. And looking back now, I'm so glad that I stuck it out and I stayed in that school and I held my head high, because a lot of people in my situation would have folded. A lot of people would have transferred, would have dropped out, but I have a warrior spirit and I don't let people run me out of anywhere. So I decided that I was gonna stick it out, and that's what I did. And I do think that me sticking it out and showing that I wasn't phased, even though, internally it was rough and I was going through it. Externally, you couldn't tell, because I would show up to class every day looking great. I always had my hair done. I always looked great. So no one really knew that I was affected by the things that they were doing, but I made sure that my exterior was always together. So because of that, I feel that angered people even more. I think the girls in the group were even more pissed that I wasn't afraid of them, that I wasn't afraid of their smear campaign, and I wasn't afraid of the lies they were telling. So that pissed them off even more, because I was still taking up space. That's one thing I will encourage you ladies to do, is never shrink yourself down or feel cowardly when it comes to these people, because these people are the cowards. These people wouldn't even be able to stand next to you alone, but in groups they feel strong, they feel power in numbers. But I wasn't that person. They couldn't make me afraid. They couldn't push me out of the Black Student Union. They couldn't push me out of the fashion shows that we did. They couldn't push me out of the activities and going to parties and clubs that I knew they were going to be at in school. They couldn't make me feel bad about being in those spaces and taking up space. Even if you're lying about me, even if you're gossiping and I know you're talking crap about me behind my back, I'm not going to not enjoy my young life and my college years because you guys are threatened by my beauty and my aura and just my light. So college was a movie, college was a mess, but it definitely taught me how to have thick skin and how to not let people scare me, because anyone that could bleed is not someone you need to be afraid of. Only person I fear is God, okay? So that really was the biggest test for me. College was a huge test of my strength, of my ability to block out the noise and be strong. And after college, I went through stress at home, but then once I left home, my life opened up, my life blossomed. I moved, I got my own place. Everything just started to fall in line for me, and I know it's because I was righteous. I did the right things. God was paying me back for being faithful, for trusting in Him, and for not taking dramatic measures. I made sure that I kept my heart pure in those times, even though I was furious because my reputation was being tarnished and people who I didn't even know hated me. It was frustrating, but at the end of the day, I had to let it go, and I had to be like, you know what? I trust your vision, God. And the Most High gave me double for my trouble. A few years later, I was on my own, 22, 23. I had my own place. I was thriving, working girl. Life still comes with ups and downs, and things were hard, but God was blessing me tremendously. He was blessing me. He was giving me opportunities. I was being approved for cars, approved for apartments, approved for lots of different things, and I was able to start living my adult life, and I was happy. I didn't have any burdens. I didn't have any bad karma lingering over my head. I can't imagine where those girls who bullied me are at today. I promise you, if people bullied you, if people lied on your name, if people deceived you, if people gossiped about you for no reason, you were a kind, loving, genuine person to these people, they are suffering internally. Not only is the Most High dealing with them or has already dealt with them, they have to live with the shame and the guilt of hurting a person who had nothing but genuine intentions for them, hurting a person who was completely innocent and pure-hearted. They have to carry that cross and have those feelings of shame and guilt. And so because I never screwed anyone over, because I never hurt anybody, I wasn't gossiping, I wasn't out here tarnishing people's names, my integrity was through the roof. I left each situation as the winner with the upper hand every single time. So when people try to destroy you and your reputation, please know that you are powerful. People don't do this to people who are weak. People don't do this to people who are doormats and who are easy to get over on and who are just blind mice. They do this to people who have strong personalities, who have a strong sense of self, who love themselves, and who carry themselves a certain way despite other people's feelings about it. A lot of times, I like to use the analogy of a light outside, like on a porch. When you turn the porch light on, moths come to the light. You got to think about yourself as the porch light. You are luminous, even though you may not notice you have this bright light, the things around you notice. When you walk in the room, when you enter a space, your light is so bright. And it's because you walk most likely with your head held high, you're probably gorgeous, and some of you, if you have a connection to God, that makes it even more bright. So when you come into the room, here come the moths. Here come all the beetles and the bugs and the fruit flies and all the little creatures of the night scurrying to be next to the light. Why? Because something about you intrigues them. Something about you is warm and inviting and high vibrational. Something about you is beautiful. And these critters and creatures of the night wouldn't be able to create light within them if they tried. So you, being this abundant light source, you're giving them warmth for the time being. You're giving them something to do, something to say, something to talk about, something to be interested in, something to compete with, something to compare themselves to. That's all they're doing. Some people do it in a nasty way. Some people do it in a covert way, where they will befriend you and then study you, and then when it's not beneficial for them to be friends with you anymore, or if you figure them out, they leave. And that stuff can be very distracting. I've recently cut off a friend who I personally feel was trying to swap destinies with me and was very competitive with me and constantly compared herself to me. And looking back, I can definitely see that she was intimidated by my light, but I didn't know because she was so covert and she was my friend. And so I was thinking this person was my friend and she was showing up as my friend, but it really wasn't the case. But you also can't control what people do and say. So if people are hating on you, if people are spreading lies and rumors about you, let them. Let them. All press is good press. I know it can be frustrating if you are a people pleaser, like I was a people pleaser once upon a time. It's hard when you want to explain your side of the story to people so they get it, or so that you can kind of do damage control and tell your side of things and prove to people that you're innocent. Don't even try to do that, because I find doing that makes it even worse. Sometimes you have to be a mystery. If people want to believe lies, and rumors, you got to let them. You got to let them, because that just shows you who shouldn't be around you anyway. People that are on the fence about you, when they hear certain things and they hear lies and rumors and they're indifferent or on the fence or neutral, cut them off too. Those people don't deserve to be around you. You can't trust them, and they're iffy as well. You want people who are willing to look at both sides of the coin, and you want people who have discernment and who have God in their life, because they'll be able to see through narcissistic tactics, wicked tactics, people who are mentally ill and their attacks. They'll be able to see through that. Unfortunately, there's a lot of naive, bird-brained people out here who enable abusers. And that's why a lot of abusers always have a ton of friends, because they're great at manipulation, they're great at lying to people, they're great at creating stories to benefit them. And that's something I noticed. A lot of abusers, a lot of narcissistic and negative people have a ton of friends. And it seems like their friends are either just like them, or they have friends who don't even realize who they are. It's almost like they're blind. It's almost like this person has them in a demonic agreement with them to be their enabler, to be the person, or to be the group of people that helps them do their dirty work or helps them get away with certain things. So I have always been a person who is a lone wolf. I've never needed a group of friends. I've never needed a friend, period. But I do have a small circle, and I value those friendships, and those people value me. And that's how I prefer it. And I would definitely advise you exoticals to never feel like you have to have a bunch of friends around you. I know when you're younger, when you're in your teens and when you're in your early 20s, you want to have female friends, because that's what is the norm, is that you have a ton of friends and you're always going out with your friends and you always have people to do things with. But if you are exceptionally beautiful, you are going to have haters, and these haters are going to disguise themselves as your friends. So just be aware of this, be careful, and always practice discernment so that you can avoid situations. But again, you guys, let people try to tarnish your name. It will just make you realize how important you are in people's lives. And once you realize that, you can transmute that energy to be like, all right, I'm important. They have all their eyes on me. They want to watch me. Let me give them something to hate about. Let me give them a show. That's when you can really lean into your femininity. It will give you fuel to create the dream life that you desire. So ladies, fire off some comments. Let me know what you thought of this video, if this resonated, if you can relate. I'd love to hear your stories and your experiences down below. And I'll be leaving my email in the description box so that you can share some of your experiences with me. Have a lovely day, ladies.